You know, I guess one person can make a difference. Enough said.
That I know what I must do. It's just, I'm afraid to do it. Even the smallest person can change the course of the future.
Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
How big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail?
When preparation meets opportunity, nothing is impossible. You know what I mean? You can achieve anything.
I don't know what that dream is that you have. I don't care how disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. That dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible.
My advice is you have to find a dream that's so big that it overwhelms all of your fears and causes you to never give up.
Why do I have 3 Super Bowl rings and still think there's something greater out there for me?
Do you know that you can't think of something that can't happen? You know it's impossible to think of the impossible. It's not possible. So if you think it, it's possible.
That's all I want you to do when you look at your dream. Just say to yourself every day, it's possible.
You see that chair? Chairs didn't always look like that. Somebody had that idea. Why not you? So when you walk out and what I make them do, ask yourself, why not me? Why can't I be the one to change the world?
Anything's possible. Anything's possible!
Let me leave you with some words from Muhammad Ali. Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in a world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare.
The size of your dreams must always exceed your current capacity to achieve them. If your dreams do not scare you, they are not big enough. If you start off with a small dream, you may not have much left when it is fulfilled, because along the way, life will test your dreams and make demands on you to be fearless about the future. Just because something has not been done as yet doesn't mean it cannot be done.
The hardest things are usually the best. If it's easy, leave it to somebody else.
Man, we'll build you into something that doesn't even exist. You're gonna change the world.
Impossible is nothing to somebody that tries. Everything that someone said was impossible has happened. Our limitations create impossible.
Your dreams have to be bigger than all your fears. See, that's why you have to have big dreams. Because your dreams have to be bigger than all your fears and all your consequences. What makes people go back is you dream too small. See, your problem in life ain't if you aim too high and you miss it. Your problem in life is if you aim too low and you hit it. You messed up now. So when you aim to the moon and you miss, you still amongst the stars. So it kind of keeps you motivated a lot longer, man, to help you push through, because everybody's gonna have to have a push through moment.
See, you can do anything. You can get up any hour, read any book, take any class, make any change, develop any skill, do any discipline. I mean, you can do it all. When this how and the why, or when the why starts to grow, the how gets simple.
Nietzsche said, "I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and impossible." The fact that something seems impossible shouldn't be a reason to not pursue it. That's exactly what makes it worth pursuing. Where would the courage and greatness be if success was certain and there was no risk? The only true failure is shrinking away from life's challenges.
Stop. I don't have all the answers that a celebrity's supposed to have, but I could tell you that, like, I felt something. It's like the fact that he won, it's like it proved something. It proved that anything is possible.
You have to be crazy enough to think that it's possible. That's how you do something worthwhile. That's how you beat the odds. You have to believe it's possible.
I went down there with the dream of making it what it is today. You know, you come to a club at Manchester United with a history. You know, you have to dream that you can get there again.
I was not always this strong guy you see. I went through a lot of hard times in my life to get here today.
Force a smile. You move on, be relentless, adapt and grow, work harder, work smarter.
An ode to people who don't believe in themselves. What comes first, belief or action? Do you need to believe that you can do a thing before you can do it? Fake it until you make it is one option, but incredibly hard if you're introspective and have low self-belief and high standards. So what about make it until you believe it? You can believe you're not worthy of a thing and still attain it. You can be adamant that your efforts are going to go badly and still succeed. You can grip and grasp and fear and it ruin the enjoyment and be totally unwarranted and things still go well. You can have no self-belief and show up anyway. You can want more for yourself without knowing exactly what that looks like. You can doubt the process, question your talent, be uncertain that you're making progress, disparage your accomplishments, permanently feel like you're not working hard enough no matter how hard you work, never give yourself a break, fail to fully feel gratitude, be terrified of never reaching your goals, and still end up in a place that your 20-year-old self could not imagine you'd ever get to. Self-belief is overrated. Generate evidence.
Y'all know and I know, at a certain point, when talent meets talent, talent is no longer enough, baby. Y'all know that? You know that. When talent meets talent, talent is no longer enough. Now it's about character. Now it's about preparation. Now it's about consistency. Now it's about who relentless, who wanted the most. Y'all know as well as I do. The quote says it, through the eyes of a man you can see his soul.
Stop and think. What's something really big that you would love to see yourself accomplish? If you were to just roll the clock ahead a year, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 15 years, what is it that you really want? And I want you to go really big. Is it making a certain amount of money? Is it a beach house that you want to buy? Or maybe you're an artist. Do you want to go on tour? The fact is, there is something big inside of you. Lean into that. I know that you have huge ambitions, and I want to make sure that you never give up on going for them.
Just expect big things. Think big. Think big. You can do it. You can do it. Why can't I do it? Take a little bit of piece at a time, have daily goals, monthly goals. But you can make it happen. It can happen. What's impossible in your life, go after that. Go after what's impossible.
There's you, and there's a human being in the mirror. And that human being is trying, and they've been there a long time, and they've been waiting for you to wake up and to see them.
You lost 3 in a row, last one a title fight. You got nothing lined up because you're not a draw. Your own manager on HBO said you should hang it up.
How much?
Today.
If you let me do the fusion, I can guarantee you'll be able to walk again. That's not enough for me. I need to be able to fight again. I need you to understand. Yes, I understand.
I want you to count backwards from 10, Benny.
Didn't they tell you I'm a boxer? I need you to start training me again.
You're off it. What are you doing? This is insane. You looked in the mirror lately? You see that thing on your head? Come on, you heard what the doctor said. You're risking your life here.
What life? Upstairs?
No, I can't do it. This is a Hail Mary at best.
No, it's not. It's a gamble. Yeah, I know that. But look, if there was a time to roll the dice, this is it.
I mean, you just don't know how to give up.
No, I do. Trust me, I do. I know exactly how to give up. You know what scares the shit out of me, Kev? Is that it's easy.
What was the biggest lie you were told?
They say it's not that simple, Vinny. It's how they get you to give up.
Vinny, you started this in a basement. In a basement. Now go out there and show me how you do things. Show me how you live. Show me how you fight.
Let me show you how I fight.
Yeah. Show me who the f you are.
History has proven that those who dare to imagine the impossible are the ones who break all the human limitations.
That everything is always impossible until someone does it. Maybe it has never been done before. That's perfectly fine with me. But I'm gonna do it.
You didn't learn your limitations. I have no limitations.
According to all aerodynamic laws, the bumblebee cannot fly because its body weight is not in the right proportion to its wingspan. But ignoring these laws, the bee flies anyway.
There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job.
It's so interesting. It's a prison you've built around yourself that you don't know is there. Have you ever seen that video of the ant and the pen? They get an ant on a piece of paper, plain A4 piece of paper, and the guy on YouTube, it's like got millions of views on YouTube, just with a biro, draws a circle around the ant. And the ant runs to the edge of the circle and believes it's trapped, and it will not cross that line. It will not cross that line. Looking down on it from a bird's eye view, you go, oh no, it's just a figment of its imagination. They do the same with a spider. They get a piece of paper, there's a little spider on it, they draw a circle around it with a biro. It will not cross that line. As the guy's drawing the circle smaller and smaller, he accidentally draws it so close to the spider that the spider steps over the biro, and then it can never ever in its life be trapped by the biro again.
The last 6,000 years reads like this: opportunity mixed with difficulty. That's how it reads. It isn't going to change. The man says, well, if it isn't going to change, how will my life ever change? Answer, when you change. And whether I'm talking to high school kids or business executives, my message is always the same. And it goes like this: the only way it gets better for you is when you get better.
Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. When someone tells me it's impossible, I always just look at anybody around me knows that they can't do that. So that's part of it. But if they didn't know me, it's your opinion. And they'll say, no, science shows. And I say, yeah, and how many times does science show something's impossible? Now science shows it's possible. Things are impossible till somebody does it.
To get anything of value, you have to sacrifice. Do you know that the harder thing to do and the right thing to do are usually the same thing? Nothing that has meaning is easy. Easy doesn't enter into grown-up life.
If your dream is to be a football professional, of course we have to follow our dreams. If you believe hard, and if you're training strong, and if you believe in your capacities, we're gonna have opportunity in life, to show off.
There's a saying that if you do what you love, you will never work a day in your life. At Apple, I learned that is a total crock. You will work harder than you ever thought possible they're doing. I've spent time around some of the richest, smartest, highest status people.
To achieve his dream. We won it! Finally! Yes! Yes! Yes!
I feel to be at the pinnacle of any game. In whatever you do, you've got to be a little bit gone to it. You're not all there. You've got to be almost insane to your craft. Not a lot of people can understand that. That's why I don't know about nothing else. I do not pay attention to nothing else. There was games of football on yesterday, there was rugby, there was this, there was that. And like normal society is like, let's talk about this, and let's engage in this. And I can't do it. I just don't, people are talking to me, and in my head I'm counting something. I'm counting up a number, or I'm knee deep in a sequence on the mat or on the feet. That's my life, sequences and numbers, nothing else. I cannot pay attention to nothing else.
Do you encounter that attitude early on, people saying he can't do it because he's a white guy and this is essentially black urban music?
I mean, yeah, early on I went through like quite a bit of that, but I mean, I think that at the end of the day, I guess if your heart is in it and you just keep persevering, you're gonna break through. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was certainly, it wasn't easy. You know what I mean? But I kept at it. You know, I got booed off stage. It was, you know, many times, like, you know, as I did in the movie, like certain, you know.
How long did it take, do you think, before you got good enough to think, okay, this is working now? How many times did you have bad on-stage experiences?
Maybe a couple.
So not that many.
Awesome. One of my mottos is that, anything is possible. Don't think limits. And I feel that I've proven that throughout the years. I never thought I would be this great at what I've done. But I want to say to the young kids growing up, just live your dream, work hard, stay focused, and just be strong, and just keep on pushing, and it will come true. So thank you.
How much more do you want from me?
More.
How much more successful do you want me to be?
More successful.
How many records can my records break?
More records. But are you a different animal and the same beast?
Because you might as well be dead. Seriously, if you always put limits on what you can do, physical or anything else, it'll spread over into the rest of your life. There are no limits, there are only plateaus. A man must constantly exceed his level.
The sky is the limit. And as a kid growing up, I believed that. I believed that whatever I put my mind to, and if I was willing to make sacrifices and I was dedicated, that I could achieve absolutely anything.
If you really want something, and you care about something that much, like, it doesn't matter if you're not super successful the first time. It doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. It doesn't matter how hard it is to get there. If you really want something, there shouldn't be a damn thing in this world that should stand in front of you and accomplishing that goal.
If you can't sit still and ignore your notifications and focus on one task for 8 hours straight, never expect to build something great. The biggest risk to your future, my future, anyone's future, isn't our competition. It's the distractions that we insist on keeping in our lives rather than doing the things that we know we should be doing but aren't.
It's more like an obsession now. Everything I do is something to do with this, you know? Everything it's always in my head. I'm always thinking about it. Yeah, I'm definitely obsessed with it. But it's in your mind, you know? It's the mental side that I took a lot from. I decided, like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm always trying to learn, no matter what. I don't care what your style is or whatever. I'm always trying to take something from everyone.
If you are able to get up every morning, have no passion, no drive, no motivation, no shit, and still get up with that kind of fire, you will be successful in life. I guarantee you that.
You know what your problem is? You're smart. Too smart. You overthink because your mind moves at 1,000,000 miles a minute. You're sad because you're not fooled by the world like everyone else. You don't get along with most people because they just don't look at things the way you do. You think you're dumb because you're smart enough to know you don't know everything. Your problem is you're too smart.
I think that the number one thing is you have to have a very clear vision, a very clear goal of where you want to go, because only then you will get there. You can have the best airplane or the best ship in the world, but if the captain doesn't know where to go, he will just drift around. If the pilot does not know where to go, he will just drift around with his plane. So I think the key thing is that we know where we're going, and that you're very passionate about that you see it always in front of you, the goal.
Whether you're a day one beginner or whatever you are, you know what I mean? I think, like, the day you stop trying to learn is the day you're getting ready to lose, you know what I mean? You're preparing to lose then. And that's what happens to a lot of people. They get to a stage where they think, okay, I just show up and I just spar and I just run and I just roll, slowing it down and just really trying to learn everything and pick up off everything. If you ever get to a stage where you're looking at something and saying, nah, that doesn't work, that's my way is better. That's the wrong way of thinking. You want to learn absolutely everything. You want to absorb everything and you want to be perfect, you know, you're looking for perfection.
Don't listen to the naysayers, because there's always people out there that will tell you that you will not be able to do that, forget it, it's a stupid dream that you have, or a crazy vision and those. Don't listen to the naysayers. And the other thing that's important is that you got to shoot for the top. You got to go and really have big goals and think big, because then you're going to get big. Then you're going to go and achieve big things. That is the most important thing. You know, we don't achieve big things by accident. So shoot for the top, shoot for the sky, shoot for the, for the stars.
I've lost my mind on this game. Like Vincent van Gogh. He dedicated his life to his art and lost his mind in the process. That's happened to me. And that gold belt was around my waist. And my mother has a big mansion. And my girlfriend has a different car for every day of the week. And my kids have everything they ever want. Then it will pay. Then I'm happy I lost my mind. Gotta be a little bit gone to it. You're not all there. You've gotta be almost insane to your craft. Not a lot of people can understand that. That's why I don't know about nothing else. I do not pay attention to nothing else. There was games of football on yesterday, there was rugby, there was this, there was that. And like normal society is like, let's talk about this and let's engage in this. And I can't do it. Because I'm always there. My mind is always on this. It never shuts off. I can never stop thinking about this game.
You are your own worst enemy. You waste precious time dreaming of the future instead of engaging in the present. Since nothing seems urgent to you, you're only half involved in what you do.
In one word only, how did a small town boy from Austria become one of the most famous people on earth?
Dream. I was poor because I didn't have anything. I had no money, I had no things, we had no TV, we had no refrigerator, we had nothing as kids. But I was rich because I had a dream.
You had a dream?
I had a dream of becoming the greatest bodybuilder. The other thing is that you get to work your butt off. If you think that you're going to go and accomplish something really special and be the best in anything in the world, the only way you could break a record is if you're willing to fail. That's when you put on more weight, you try it, sometimes you would not be able to lift it, which has happened to me many times, but eventually when you train hard enough, you will lift it. So don't be afraid to fail. I mean, how far can you fall?
Times more than the average person. A winner has these unreasonable expectations of himself. A winner knows that he's destined for greatness. And no matter how many people around him tell him to slow down, be careful, watch out, that's too risky, you don't have the genetics, the DNA, the money, the mind, the brain power for that
you want, but you have to feed it a vision of what you're looking for. It's always interesting because the function of the mind is to make coherence between your belief and your reality. If I believe it's not going to work, then the function of the mind will manifest in a situation where it doesn't work. If I totally believe this is how it's going to work, then my mind will set me up in a situation where it works that way. And all of a sudden, that's when you start to realize, wait a minute, it's not chance anymore. This isn't chance, this is creativity. And we are creators.
You want that? Not a problem, but let's learn the formula of how to create, right? Yes. So then you'd have to feel those emotions before the experience occurred. And if you understood that you could dissociate all of your attention from this three-dimensional reality and have no attention on anything known, and understand it's the field that creates matter, not matter that emits the field, and if you could get to that place and change your energy with a clear intention and elevated emotion, your heart starts beating in this beautiful rhythm like a drum. We've measured it so many times, and when that occurs, the next thing that happens, the heart informs the brain, it's safe to create now.
Science says, show me and I'll believe. Faith says, believe and I'll show you. There is a difference.
Isn't it strange that so often people have to be cut down by failure and defeat before they learn that they have minds capable of mastering all of their problems? Isn't it strange why Milo C. Jones did not discover the little pig sausage idea while he had a sound body? Just remember this about adversities. Nothing is ever so bad or so unpleasant that it may not yield some benefit if we keep a positive mental attitude toward the experience and make it a habit to look for that seed of an equivalent benefit. This, of course, involves the application of that important success principle, personal initiative.
So, in order for us to change a belief or perception about ourselves and our lives, we have to make a decision with such firm intention that the amplitude of that decision carries a level of energy that's greater than the hardwired programs in your brain and the emotional conditioning in your body. And your body literally has to respond to your mind. Examine your personality and examine your personal reality. Change your personality, change your personal reality. Don't make it be about abundance. Make it about becoming abundant by overcoming the person who's not abundant.
A burning desire for the things or circumstances you want is the starting point of all applied faith. Be definite, believe, and act. And keep on acting if at first you meet with defeat.
What your parents told you about money, all that other, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let's write down the feelings of how you would feel if that future happened, and you're going to have to feel that feeling before it occurs.
What come out your mouth is what's gonna come back to you. It's the law of attraction. I never get nobody. You're not. I can't lose this weight. You sure ain't. I'm gonna get fit this year. Strong possibility. I'll never be rich. Promise you, you won't. I'm gonna be rich one day. Strong possibility. It doesn't matter whether you believe in it or adhere to it. It is the law of attraction. It will never change. Everything I have is cause I say.
Now, the latest research in neuroscience says you can change your brain just by thinking. So then, as you begin to think about a new possibility, and your brain begins to fire in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations, and you begin to plan your behaviors, and you begin to review in your mind, mentally rehearse who you're going to be in your life, the mere action of mental rehearsal begins to install the neurological circuits in your brain. Now your brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it's in fact a map to the future. And if you were then to begin to emotionally embrace your future before it's made manifest, in other words, you're not waiting for your healing to feel wholeness. You're not waiting for your new relationship to feel love. You're not waiting for the mystical moment to feel awe. You're not waiting for your success to feel empowered. That's the old model of reality of cause and effect.
Everyone, said Mr. Carnegie, comes to the earth plane blessed with the privilege of controlling his mind power and directing it to whatever ends he may choose. But, he continued, everyone brings over with him at birth the equivalent of 2 sealed envelopes, one of which is clearly labeled, the riches you may enjoy if you take possession of your own mind and direct it to ends of your own choice. And the other is labeled, the penalties you must pay if you neglect to take possession of your mind and direct it. That your only limitations are those which you set up in your own mind or permit others to set up for you.
Visualizing at like 13, 14, just so everything around me was taken care of when I got to a meet, so I could be completely relaxed. So when I put my headphones on, all I'm thinking about is the music. I get to go up and just do what I practice to do. All of those countless hours of staring at the black line at the bottom of the pool, that was for this moment. So I just never really thought when I got behind the block and let everything do what was supposed to happen. If I didn't get the results that I wanted, then I would just go back to the drawing board.
You can't? Are you kidding me? You just said I can't? Like, I want to slap that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I can't. I don't have time for people that are weak and they say I can't. No, you can. You will.
Applied faith is the mental attitude wherein you may clear your mind of all fears and doubts and direct it to the attainment of whatever you desire in life. Applied faith is a mental attitude we must cultivate and maintain before we can take complete possession of our minds.
You can manifest absolutely anything that you want in this life. But you've got to deeply, deeply imagine it, and not just imagine it from the outside looking in. You have to imagine you are there. You have to feel the feeling of where you are, smell the smells, listen to the sounds. You have got to trick your mind and body into believing it is real. It will put an imprint on the universe and it will pull you towards it.
Know what you want and believe that you can and will get it. Give expressions of gratitude many times daily for having received that which you want, even before you actually get physical possession of it. Possession starts first in the mind.
One of the fastest ways to create something in your physical reality is to reverse the normal process by which we create things. Usually we create things first by thinking about it. I think I'll go to that party. And then we say something about it, as in, Matilda, I'm coming to your party tonight. And then we do something about it, as in showing up at the party. That's generally how we produce things in our reality. In fact, everything in this room was once a thought. There is nothing that was not once a thought in someone's mind somewhere. But if you want to really play tricks with the universe and create magic with the stuff of life itself, reverse the thought, word, deed paradigm. Turn it upside down and start with the deed. That is to say, act as if. If you want to experience abundance, be abundant and do as abundance does. If you have only $5 left to your name, go to a store and get them made into singles. And take 5 singles and you will achieve positive results.
So then, if you wanted to create a new personal reality, a new life, you'd have to change your personality. Which means you'd have to start thinking about what you've been thinking about and change it. You'd have to become aware of your unconscious habits and behaviors and even what you say and modify them. And then you'd have to look at those emotions that keep you anchored to the past and decide if those emotions belong in your future. So most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. We literally have to become someone else.
You see, the thoughts that you think control the vibration that you're in. You attract energy that's in harmony with you. You attract people that are in harmony with you. You see, everything operates on frequencies. There's an infinite number of frequencies, but you and I operate on a frequency just like a radio station does. And the only music you can attract is the music that is tuned into the vibration you're in.
And I'm a firm believer of speaking things into existence. Same here, brother. Firm believer of, you work and the universe gives back to you. I'm a firm believer in that stuff. You feel me? In the law of attraction, of course, and God as well. I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction. And
people always ask me, like, how do I create, the person of my dreams that I want in my life? And I always say, take out a piece of paper, write down everything you want in that person, and then become it.
I have a question for you. Are your dreams big enough? Why don't you dare to dream bigger? The first secret of self-made millionaires is simple. Dream big dreams. Allow yourself to dream. Allow yourself to imagine and fantasize about all your career goals and the kind of life you would really like to live. Think about the amount of money you would like to earn and have in your bank account. All self-made millionaires begin with a dream of something wonderful and different from what they have today. You have to have a dream if you want to make a dream come true.
You see, most people will let their present physical results control their way of thinking. They're emotionally involved in it. They think it's an accident that the same results keep reoccurring. That's no accident. If you've got a financial problem, if you've got a cash flow problem, if you've got a marital problem, that's what most people concentrate on. If a doctor takes a photograph of your body and then tells you you're sick and shows you you're sick, what's the person concentrate on? Sickness.
Thinking of why you can't do something is never going to do you any good. And keep thinking until you start to think of thoughts of how you can do it. And the way will be shown to you. It comes in the form of images in our mind. Think of how you can and not why you can't.
Sometimes when I was broke, I would invite myself to a nice dinner. My mind would tell me, hey, you can't afford that, you shouldn't be going out. But then I said, well, I want to experience this because if I experience it, I'll be able to want it more. How am I supposed to want something that I haven't experienced? So, okay, look, well, let me experience a nicer dinner. And now I have something to work towards. Well, I want more of this experience. Once you know what you want, just do retroactive steps on how to get there. You're not special. I'm not special. We're not the first to succeed. Millions have succeeded in the past. So can we. what have they done that allowed them to succeed? Let me replicate it. Simplicity in pattern recognition, simplicity in optimizing the behaviors of others. That's what we are. We're only better than past generation. We're only stacking, right, on past generations. Technology is advancing based off of the stacking of what? Knowledge. So we stack this knowledge, we implement it, we become better people. Glitch into the matrix, bro.
You should also recognize that by the application of the master key to success, which I am passing on to you through these visits, you can take full possession of your mind and make it yield you whatever you demand in life. Observe, I use the word demand, not beg. The Creator never intended for you to beg for anything. If He had, He would not have blessed you with full control over your own mind. If your life is not what you want it to be, you can change it.
Here's what I want you to repeat after me, please, with power and conviction. Say, it's possible. That's all I want you to do when you look at your dream. Just say to yourself every day, it's possible. Just say that every day to yourself, it's possible. Because what does that do? See, it begins to change your belief system. See, the way in which we operate, ladies and gentlemen, it's a manifestation of what we believe, what's possible for us. Whatever you've done up to this point, all that it really is a duplication, it's a reproduction of what you believe subconsciously that you deserve and what's possible for your life.
Another mistake that I believe the average worker makes is that he thinks he's working for the company. Again, he's wrong. Each of us actually is only working for himself. A great Southern educator tells the story of a wealthy man who was going to go to Europe for several months, and he called a builder he knew over to him, and he said, here's some money, and I've bought this lot over here. I want you to build me a beautiful home on that property. And then he left. Well, as soon as he was gone, the builder said to himself, well, with him out of the way, I can probably cut a few corners and make myself a pile of loot on this job. Now, this has been done, you know. So he did that, and he built a rather shoddy house instead of the good house he should have built. And when the wealthy man came back, while the builder handed him the keys and said, well, there's your house. How do you like it? And the wealthy man said, well, that's a beautiful home, but it's yours. I wanted you to build it for yourself and your wife and children. Every hour of the day, each of us is building his own house, and it will be strong or weak, beautiful or ugly, depending only on the methods of construction we use.
As a matter of fact, you can do anything within reason that you desire to do if you embrace the principle of applied faith and keep it directed to the attainment of the things you want and off the things you do not want.
Pressure changes everything, pressure. Some people, you squeeze them, they focus. Others fold. Can you summon your talent at will? Can you deliver on a deadline? Can you sleep at night?
If a bird lands on the branch, does the bird trust the branch or does it trust its wings? And the clue, I've seen many birds land on branches, but what I've never seen is a branch break and the bird fall and die. Trust your wings.
Partying is weakness for the soul, my friend, so I try and avoid it.
Dr. Carter said to me, and Dr. Carter had a tear in his eye. I could tell he felt for me. And he said, son, I'm sorry to say you're not going to box again. And I looked at him. I said, no, Dr. Carter, you're wrong. I am going to box again. I said, you don't understand what kind of man I am.
Do a what if.
What if what?
What if you lose?
I don't even see, I can't, my consciousness don't even elevate that thought.
Therefore, if it happens, you'd be distraught, crazed, what?
It's not my nature to allow that to happen.
So you don't think the negative?
No, the negative, you always have doubt. You know, there's always a doubt. And the doubt that you have allows you to perform at a higher level.
You better make sure in the next season of your life that the person who walked away from you know what they're missing. Did you look at me?
See, the major question to ask on the job is not what are you getting? The major question to ask on the job is what are you becoming?
They persevered. And what are the qualities of that person that you could embody? That's the key, right? Because it's not about wealth. It's who you become, right? Because people think it's about their wealth, but it's the becoming process. It's the overcoming.
That attracted that, right?
Of course.
Isn't it a strange fact that most people make a negative application of their great power of faith if by thinking about and believing in poverty, ill health, fear, failure, and defeat, when it would be so easy for them just to change their thinking over to the circumstances and things they desire.
How would an abundant person think? Write it down, dude, and fire and wire those thoughts in your brain and install the hardware. Keep doing it with attention and intention. It becomes the new voice in your head. It becomes a software program. Then say, okay, how am I going to be in my life today? What would an abundant person, how would they behave? And before you reach for your cell phone and start scrolling through your social media, close your eyes and rehearse in your mind how that person would walk, how they would breathe, how they would smile, how they would greet people, how they would be on Zoom calls, how would they be in traffic, how would they be at dinner. And the act of closing your eyes and mentally rehearsing the act, if you're truly present, the brain does not know the difference between the real life experience and what you're imagining.
They stepped aside. They didn't let logic stop them. Make up your mind. That's this idea of you got to be realistic, that you got to be logical, is a bunch of nonsense. You don't have to be logical at all. I've been totally illogical many times, and it's helped me earn a lot of money. You got to bust out of that now.
2 years in the gym, true wins, true losses, true life. I just realized that if you say it to yourself and you look yourself in the eye and look yourself in the mirror and truly believe that not a man alive can beat you, then that is the way it is. And just true hours in the gym and preparation, I feel that I am untouchable right now.
If you aim for success above mediocrity, you will need to learn to act on your own personal initiative, because your success is something which you must achieve for yourself without someone telling you what to do or how to do it. There are two kinds of men who never amount to much: those who cannot do as they are told, and those who can do nothing else.
My mother made me believe in myself. No matter how many people tell me, stop believing in yourself. Stop saying what you can do. Stop affirming what you're going to do and then completing that in real life. That's the improper way to do it. I refuse to follow those rules that society has set up in the way that they control people with low self-esteem.
And remember to think. Imagination is everything, and we can become what we can imagine.
The universe is listening to everything you say and everything you think and saying, okay, you can get that. So then it starts to bring you in and bring things into you. And I know this sounds far-fetched, but it's amazing how it works. If you do a good general positive statement for yourself, the universe will figure out how to manifest that, how to bring that about in your life. So things could happen that you wouldn't expect at all, but they will happen.
When I wrote my book, How to Be Rich, the publishers wanted to change the title. They wanted to call it How to Get Rich. Well, I told them getting rich is easy. I mean, any fool can get rich. And any number of fools do.
I've noticed that.
But being rich, that's something else. When a man becomes wealthy, he has to deal with the problems of freedom. All the choices he could possibly want. An abyss opens up. Well, I watched that abyss. I watched it ruin men, marriages, but most of all, it ruins the children. I thought I could trust my own blood.
As soon as your brain says, I'm gonna do it, your body finds a way to do it. You know, if your mind is already there, your body will find a way to follow and get there.
You're dead, Carl. You say no to life, and therefore you're not living. You make up excuses to the people around you and to yourself. You're stuck in the same dead-end job you have been for years. And you lost the love of your life because she couldn't be with someone who didn't live theirs.
Probably all thinking in your head, this guy is talking absolute dribble. He's not gonna do what he says he's gonna do. You're probably all sitting there thinking that. But now here we are again, and I done what I said I was gonna do. I feed off this. I love this stuff. This is what gives me energy. Saying I'm gonna do something. Putting it out there for the world to see. and then going out and doing it. There's no better feeling in the world than that. And it's as easy as that. Say what you're gonna do and go and do it.
When you speak of your poverty and lack of education, you are simply directing your mind power to attract these undesirable circumstances. Because it is true that whatever your mind feeds upon, your mind attracts to you. Now you see why it is important that you recognize that all success begins with definiteness of purpose, with a clear picture in your mind of precisely what you want from life.
I have an insane belief in my own ability to manifest things. Insane belief, that I think it's ultimately complete sanity, but I believe we're creators, and I believe we create with every thought and every word. Every moment is pregnant with the next moment of your life.
When you were struggling personally and professionally, did you write yourself a check?
Yeah, I made my check, which was just basically $10 million to Jim Carrey for acting services rendered, dated Thanksgiving 1995. I gave myself 5 years to be one of the most successful working actors.
When you pray, believe that you already have what you're asking for. Believe that you have. Just believe that you have. Is it so hard to believe? We believe that tomorrow will come. We believe that the sun will rise in the morning and set at night. We believe that the ocean and the tide will be there, and the moon. We believe the grass will grow. We believe that our food will digest. And who is there who knows how any of these things happen? Just believe. And it will be done unto you. It seems too good to be true, doesn't it? And you and I will never know until we try it.
Your body is so objective that it's believing it's living in that reality where you are abundant. And as long as you feel that emotion, you're not separate from it any longer. You're no longer in lack. You're no longer looking for it to occur. Say, why hasn't it happened yet? If you're feeling abundant, why would you look? The longer you're conscious of that energy, the more you draw that future to you. Which means if you want to change your personal reality, you're going to have to change your personality.
Right.
Nothing changes in your life until you change.
The secret, the law of attraction, the book on the law of attraction. Yeah. That was what changed my life.
Conscious mind opens up as we get beyond our analytical mind. And our analytical mind is actually what separates the conscious mind from the subconscious mind. So as you slow your brain waves down, you get into alpha, you're entering the operating system. And that's where you can rewrite a new program. That's where you can rehearse a new script.
Said Emerson, and you shall have the power. May I paraphrase this great truth by saying, believe and you shall receive. And now, until our next visit, will you please remember that your life is exactly what you make it by your own mental attitude. And you must use self-discipline until you create a thought pattern or thought habits which keep your mental attitude positive at all times. Your mental attitude is important because it acts as a magnet which attracts to you everything, every circumstance which makes you what you are and where you are.
You know, in my head, my life was always good, even when it probably wasn't. You know what I mean? And so I just keep that in my head, feel like a millionaire walking around.
He had to ask himself, am I able to do this? Well, he seemed to have that innate awareness of this higher self, this image of perfection within him, and he saw himself as a person that was actually able to take and turn the fantasy into a fact. Now, he must have been a pretty courageous guy because there were no horseless carriages in those days. But then he had to ask himself, am I willing? And you see, he had to ask himself, am I willing to accept the ridicule that I'm bound to get? Am I willing to accept the failures? Well, he said, yes, I am willing. He was willing to pay the ultimate price to turn his fantasy into a fact.
Many years ago, I read where Napoleon Hill pointed out that the imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force that the world has ever known. And you know, the average individual uses the imagination, if they use it at all, against themselves. They imagine what they don't want. They imagine problems coming. Let's begin to use our imagination the way God meant it to be used. It's the greatest creative faculty that we possess. And we can build anything we want with it.
I speak it, believe it, receive it. Speak it, believe it, receive it. Speak it, believe it, receive it. I can't say it enough. I speak it, believe it, receive it. Can you feel the power, the magic that I put out in the universe and then let it manifest and it draws to me? It don't get no powerful than that. My mind, I control that. My words, I speak that. My action, I display that.
You know, for me to try and change the results in my life, in other words, what's going on outside of me, without changing what's going on inside, would be just about as foolish for me to try and change the reflection of this mirror without changing my physical appearance. It's never going to happen. Well, that's what people are doing. They're trying to change something outside without changing what's going on inside.
And when you start introducing thoughts and you start thinking of thoughts as a form of perception, they're going to shape the way they're going to shape what you see. They're very going to heavily constrain what you see.
Set a goal to become a millionaire. And he said, here's why. For what it will make of you to achieve it. And I got one of the greatest classes in one sentence I've ever received in my life. Set a goal that'll make you stretch that far. For what it will make of you to achieve it.
One thing is certain. No one ever becomes very wise without the aid of self-discipline. And no one ever finds peace of mind and happiness without the strict exercise of self-discipline.
Most people don't affect reality in a consistent, substantial way because they don't believe they can.
Whatever way we observe the world around us is what comes back to us. And the reason why my life, for instance, is so lacking in joy and happiness and fulfillment is because my focus is lacking in those same things exactly.
Remember, faith is not something you get. Faith is something you already have. But you may be using it in reverse gear by believing in the circumstances and things you do not want, the things you fear. Remember also that faith is guidance only. It is not a power which will bring you what you want, but a power that can guide you to go after what you want and get it.
Well, in many ways, thinking is a lot like perception. Perception, again, being which sensations I'm focusing on, except that thinking incorporates sensations from the past, sensations from the present, and can include sensations from the future that we haven't even had yet.
Interesting.
So this, I think, speaks to your question about law of attraction.
If you decide that you will be poor, you're going to be poor. If you decide to be rich today, who going to stop you? Who? If you decide you want to be rich, all you got to do is start. Why not? Who going to stop you?
I want to tell you the most interesting story in the world. Why a person becomes the person he becomes. Why a little boy or a little girl grows up to be the kind of person he or she becomes. Now, the estimates by the experts in this field are that most of us are using somewhere around 5% of our real potential. Some experts say as little as 1%. But it also means that we're only experiencing 5% of the fun, 5% of the joy, 5% of the rewards we could be knowing, or less. All the experts have agreed that in each of us, there are deep reservoirs of ability, even genius, that we habitually fail to use. Why? Why isn't everyone successful? The problem with most people is that they're playing the world's most unrewarding game, and the name of the game is follow the follower. Remember, whatever the great majority is doing under any given circumstance, if you do exactly the opposite, you'll probably never make another mistake as long as you live.
Do not accept from life or anyone else anything you do not desire. And remember that Mahatma Gandhi proved himself to be more powerful than the great British military forces by this simple method of passive resistance.
Here's the deal. 5 years from now, you can be who you would like to be, and you can have what you need within the bounds of reason. if you specify it. So if you could be who you would like to be, and if you could have what you think you need, in principle, what would that look like? Well, that you start specify targets. So we say, well, write it down for 15 minutes. Don't get too self-critical. Just think, we ask questions. Who do you admire and why?
Remember, too, that your faith is limited only by your own capacity to believe. You can do whatever you make up your mind to do. I stood firmly back of that belief through 20-odd years of effort. Do the thing, said Emerson, and you shall have the power. Believe, and you shall receive.
Your income is governed by law. Yet it's a law that you're never going to change. The law of compensation is very clear. This law clearly states that the amount of money you earn is always going to be an exact ratio to three things. Number one, the need for what you do. Number two, your ability to do it. And number three, the difficulty there will be in replacing you.
What you have at the moment, Mr. Rohn, you've attracted by the person you've become. What you have at the moment, you've attracted by the person you've become. Few little simple principles here. Once you understand these, it starts to explain so much. Now, sometimes it's a little tough to take, blaming yourself instead of the marketplace. Taking responsibility instead of putting it off on someone else. That transition sometimes is a challenging mission. And this one was a little tough for me. He said, Mr. Rohn, you've got pennies in your pocket, you've got nothing in the bank, the creditors are calling, you're behind on your promises. And he says, here's how that occurs. You've attracted
between a successful person and a failure. Please listen carefully and think for yourself as I speak, because failure to recognize the truth I am about to give you is the starting point of most failures. Successful people in all occupations, all professions, and all callings have one trait which distinguishes them from the failures. It is their capacity for belief. The failures see the hole in the donut, but do not see the donut around the hole. The successes see the hole also, but they see the donut around the hole.
Believing, believing, believing. You will be living what you're believing, even though you be lying.
The next principle, ask, believe, receive. So many people overlook this very simple quality. You don't have to figure it out. That's what freezes people. When you're trying to figure out your life all the way to the end, when you can't figure it out, it freezes you from trying it because you go, oh, well, I can't figure that out. Oh, I can't go over there because I don't know how. You don't have to know how.
How bad do you want it? How bad do you want your dream? It's so much easier to forget that vision than to remember it, right? So if you're going to remember it, you got to keep it alive in your mind. How do you keep it alive in your mind? You disconnect from your environment. You close your eyes. You play music in the background. When I say it's time to get up, we get up. Don't be thinking about what's going to happen in your day. You already know what's going to happen. Don't think what happened yesterday. You already know that. Get in the present moment and say, who do I want to be when I open my eyes? Who do I want to be today? What would greatness look like? How would one day, one shot, one lifetime, what would an abundant person do?
I said there's been many periods in my life that I've had internal growth, which was this: work, 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 no results, but I'm a little bit better. Work, 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 no results, but I'm a little bit better. Work, 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 no results, I'm a little bit better. Work, boom, just got paid. I just got paid. And it looks like overnight success. Yeah. It's like, oh, shit, it happened in a year. No, bro, it doesn't. Because if you do all those things, even if nothing happens and you know you're doing the right thing and you're on track, overnight success becomes this easy thing because you were internally growing and then the bubble popped. And then boom, it looks like you were doing it all along.
The body's so objective that it does not know the difference between the real life experience that's creating the lack and the emotion that you're creating by thought alone called lack. The body's believing it's living the same past experience every day. Why? Because the end product of an experience is an emotion. Well, if your life is changing, but you're still feeling lack, don't expect anything that you won't even see it. You'll walk right past it. You're viewing your life through the lens of the past.
When you make a choice and say, come hell or high water, I'm going to be this, then you should not be surprised when you are that.
Man, I gave my soul to this game. There's nothing more I can give. Nothing. But I'm telling you, it goes by fast. And if you don't give it your all, you're going to regret it.
I don't quit. You know, I may not make it the first time, but I'll come back. I got caught on audible. I gotta fucking get my head back in the game. I gotta figure this shit out. It doesn't mean you leave. It means you study it more. It means you study it more. And whenever I fail at something, people always say, man, how do you handle failure, man? I fail a lot, dude. I fail all the time. But I don't look at failure as failure. I look at failure as your first, second, third, fourth, fifth attempt. I look at them as attempts. I don't look at anything as failure. Because when you're going to try to do something, not trying is failure.
At the end of every day, you look yourself in the mirror and you ask yourself, did I get better today? If the answer is yes, and you do that for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, how much better are you going to be? Are you getting better every single day? That's the question. And it's just taking small steps. You don't try to get it all done in one day, in 1 week, in 1 year. It's the process of getting better every day and doing that for a period of years that then create the masterpiece.
You know, anything in life that you put your mind to, you can do. The world is your oyster. That's all I tell people. And I really have a grasp of that, being that I nearly died. Only thing promised is death. So basically life is like a game. So you had to play the game the way you want to play it. You got to take advantage of this. And that doesn't mean for everybody to be a rapper, for everybody to be a producer. Do what you do to the fullest and live your life.
I will never quit. Because if you quit, you're done. You may still be alive walking around on this earth. You're done. I will never quit. I will persevere and I will thrive on adversity. My team expects me to be physically harder and mentally stronger than our opponents. I hold myself to that standard. I will be the one that is physically harder and mentally stronger, and I will work to maintain that position. You won't beat me.
It was 2008. The Redeem team was formed. And we were in Vegas for the start of training camp, and we were getting ready for the Olympics in Beijing. We're going to head to Beijing. And I wanted to establish myself as a young leader on the team by waking up bright and early. Day one. So the goal was to be the first one at breakfast. So I set my alarm. I make sure I'm up by sunrise. I get out of bed. I put on my gear and I head downstairs. But when I get there, Kobe's already there, with ice packs on his knees, drenched in sweat. Now, it took me a minute to figure it out, but this guy wasn't only awake before me. He had already worked out. He had just played in the finals days earlier. Meanwhile, I'd been off for months and I was still exhausted. What he had done that morning was incomprehensible to me. That dedication he had only days after falling short of an NBA championship. That taught me something I've never forgotten. Legends aren't defined by their successes. They're defined by how they bounce back from their failures.
Let me leave you with some words from Muhammad Ali. Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in a world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare.
Almost every successful person that I have ever encountered has gone through not a month or a year, but many years of doing work without reward, where they have to do things that other people find boring, and they have to sacrifice things that everyone finds interesting, that most people want to do during that entire season of their life. And they basically sacrifice a season of other things that they would prefer to do stuff that they would not prefer to do because of the one thing they want most.
People don't see that, and people will never understand that to be success. You know, all they think about, well, he batted .202, you know, and he struck out a certain number of times. Yeah, okay. You know, but the effort was there. And the learning curve and the passion was there that has transcended.
I was up in the morning. Holy shit! You did it! You did it!
Most of the limitations we have do not exist in reality. They exist only in your own mind. And one of the starting points of great achievement is to start questioning those self-limiting beliefs and throw them off and act as if they did not exist.
To be unyielding, like you're always going after it. Always going after it, always going after it. And if there's a challenge that ensues, oh, good, I want to see how I stack up to that. So you go after it, you go after it. It's fun. It's like you get a chance to compete against opponents, and you get a chance to see where you stack up against them. It's like, I want to see. Maybe I'm not good enough today, but that's fine. I'll be good enough the next time I see you, though. You know, and you get a chance to always measure yourself. So I guess that's where relentlessness comes from.
Never say never. Because limits, like fears, are often just an illusion.
All this, it's not me. It's inside. I am more.
He said, why don't you set a goal to become a millionaire? I'm 25 years old. He said, this is America, land of opportunity. Why don't you set a goal to become a millionaire? And then he said, for what it will make of you to achieve it. And I thought, wow, that's a whole different philosophy. Set a goal to become a millionaire for the person you have to become in order to be worth $1 million. Then he said, once you've become a millionaire, you give the money away, because what's important is not what you got, but the person you became. And I got the message.
99% of people in the world are convinced that they're incapable of achieving great things, so they aim for the mediocre. The level of competition is thus fiercest for realistic goals, paradoxically making them the most time and energy consuming. If you are insecure, guess what? The rest of the world is too. Do not overestimate the competition and underestimate yourself. You are better than you think.
Let life touch you. Don't let it kill you, but let it touch you. Here's the last one. This one's powerful. Resolve says, I will. Two of the most powerful words in the language. I will. Benjamin Disraeli once said, nothing can resist a human will that will stake even its existence on the extent of its purpose. See, that's powerful. That could be the day that turns your life around. The world has a strange way of stepping aside when somebody says, I'll do it or die.
There's a quote from one of my English teachers at Lower Merion named Mr. Fisk. He had a great quote that said, rest at the end, not in the middle. And that's something I always live by. You know, I'm not going to rest. I'm going to keep on pushing now. There are a lot of answers that I don't have, even questions that I don't have. But I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going, and I'll figure these things out as we go, right? And you just continue to build that way. So I try to live by that all the time.
Refine your goals. I don't know what ambitions you've had up until now, but this weekend would be a good time to start the process. Here's the next one. Believe in yourself. And you've got to believe in the possibilities. You've got to believe in the economy. You've got to believe that tomorrow can be better than today. But here's the big one. Believe in yourself. There isn't a skill you can't learn. There isn't a discipline you can't try. There isn't a class you couldn't take. There isn't a book you couldn't read. Ask for wisdom. This is communication of the highest source. Ask for wisdom that creates answers. Ask for the wisdom that creates faith to believe things are possible.
The mindset of a winner, which is a winner does more than expected every single time, no matter how they feel, no matter the circumstances. A winner shows up 10x times more than the average person. A winner has these unreasonable expectations of himself. A winner knows that he's destined for greatness. And no matter how many people around him tell him to slow down, be careful, watch out, that's too risky, you don't have the genetics, the DNA, the money, the mind, the brain power for that. A winner locks onto their goals and keeps going. That's what the winner does.
Here's my advice to you today. Walk away from the 97%. Don't talk like they talk. Don't act like they act. Don't go where they go. Don't specialize in what they specialize in. Throw away the blame lists they cling to. Start you a new life. Switch gears, switch language, switch ideas, switch strategy. Start with the simplest of disciplines. And don't be mean any of these disciplines. The smallest of disciplines starts the process of life change. And if you'll invest in this thing called discipline, you can have whatever you wish. It's called the beginning of miracle.
An ode to people who don't believe in themselves. What comes first, belief or action? Do you need to believe that you can do a thing before you can do it? Fake it until you make it is one option, but incredibly hard if you're introspective and have low self-belief and high standards. So what about make it until you believe it? You can believe you're not worthy of a thing and still attain it. You can be adamant that your efforts are going to go badly and still succeed. You can grip and grasp and fear and it ruin the enjoyment and be totally unwarranted and things still go well. You can have no self-belief and show up anyway. You can want more for yourself without knowing exactly what that looks like. You can doubt the process, question your talent, be uncertain that you're making progress, disparage your accomplishments, permanently feel like you're not working hard enough no matter how hard you work, never give yourself a break, fail to fully feel gratitude, be terrified of never reaching your goals, and still end up in a place that your 20-year-old self could not imagine you'd ever get to.
Sometimes you have to be that to be that.
They're all crazy.
Yeah, everybody's the best of their game.
They're all crazy.
They're all crazy, no matter what you do.
There's a touch of genius and there's a touch of madness.
I say that madness and genius are next door neighbors and they borrow each other's sugar.
Why pay the price? Why work this hard? Why go this far? Why try to learn this much? Why try to do it all? Why try to see it all? Why try to have it all? Why do it? Why develop yourself to the full? That's a good question, why? In leadership training, here's what we learn. If the why is powerful, the how is easy.
When people don't understand you anymore, you're in that spot of obsession and drive where people are like, what the f is wrong with this guy? I don't want to talk to you, man, because you're not going to get it.
The man says, I will climb the mountain. They've told me it's too high, it's too far, it's too rocky, it's too difficult, it's never been done before, but it's my mountain, I will climb it. Pretty soon you'll see me waving from the top. Or dead on the side, because I ain't coming back.
Why are you out running 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and not later in the day? Why do fighters do that?
Because I don't want to do it. It disciplines us to do things that you don't want to do. I think I want to get up for and run. Sometimes I get up and run, I see guys, and I like to hang out. I see people in the car, they came from partying and hanging out. Guys, they're having fun, and I'm running.
They're not like you. You know, they don't have your family. They don't have your temperament. They don't have your troubles. They don't have your abilities. The only person that has those is you. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not to who someone else is today. And see, that's a game you can win because you could be a little better today than you were yesterday.
There's only 3 steps into that ring. Just 3. And tonight it's going to look as high as a mountain.
When you take the first step, the second step will appear, and the third step will appear. It's almost like those lights that light up as you walk along. Well, what happens is that you take the first step, every subsequent step will appear. And surprise, surprise, you'll turn around a week, a month, a year, or some years later, look back, and you'll have accomplished extraordinary things. And people say, well, you're sure lucky. You're sure lucky. It wasn't luck at all. I worked at it and worked at it and worked at it.
It's strictly about you finding who you are. So many people die, live 100 years, never know who they are. Never know who they are. You have to look in that mirror and know there's so much more in here, man. Because I can literally right now be a 300-pound guy spraying for cockroaches. Still to this day, there has to be more to this. This can't be it.
Whatever time that you have to attack like you're trying to save the world. You're trying to save your life. You don't want to drown. That 1.5 hours a day that you have to write, God damn, you better be caffeinated and motivated. You got to go. You got to get after it. And you got to have discipline. Most people don't have those things. Most people don't understand what it's like to really go for something. And to know that the consequences of not doing that are horrific.
Because if you do a thing in spite of being scared of doing the thing, that is bravery, right? There's no such thing as fake bravery. Like if you do the thing and you're scared, that's bravery. If you don't do the thing and you weren't scared, that's not bravery, right? The same thing goes for discipline. Doing the thing in spite of not wanting to do the thing is discipline, right? You don't need motivation to get yourself up to go and do a thing. Make the promise small, build it up step by step. Know that you are going to have setbacks. And this is my favorite rule from James Clear, which is a habit missed once is a mistake. A habit missed twice is the start of a new habit. Never miss 2 days in a row.
I would say to a young person, you can choose a life of ease and comfort, or you can choose a life of service and adventure. Which one of those, when you're 90 years old, are you going to be more proud of?
I think the most important thing is to become the best version of yourself, to become and achieve your fullest potential. So many people limit themselves based off of what somebody else has told them they are, based off of the limitations of their parents, their teachers, their education, the system. But you can truly become whoever you want to be. And I wanted to push this message of hope, and I wanted to push this message of, if you work hard, if you are consistent, and if you dedicate yourself to a worthy ideal, you can become whoever you want to become.
My escape will always be, and has always been, the basketball court. Being able to go out there and put on a show for people. When I realized that talent was not going to be enough, it was not going to be enough for me to be anywhere near greatness, I made that choice to outwork everyone.
Raise 50,000.
50 isn't enough. I'm all in. Now, Lewis, before you decide how to play the hand that could clean you out, I want you to think of our entire history. Of me always winning and you always losing. And when you finish doing that, you'll realize that it doesn't really matter what you do, because whatever it is, it's going to be the wrong decision. See, that's exactly what I was talking about. All I had was 10 high. I told you this before, I'm going to tell you again. I don't play the odds. I play the man. The odds were stacked against me. I won anyway. Because I win.
You won because you got lucky.
Guys like you always think other people get lucky. I don't get lucky. I make my own luck.
There's so many times in life you don't want to be doing what the you're doing. You can't just quit. Remember this. This isn't a hobby. This isn't a joke. It's a lifestyle. So what you say to yourself is important. There's no coach. There's no trainer to keep you going. It's only you. Make sure you're soaking wet from getting after it, working out hard. The whole thing is this. Don't say a word. Stay uncommon amongst uncommon people. You're never done. Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done.
Since we are born in this world, this has repeated every day. Sunrise, sun goes down. So that means there is a up, there is a down. Since we are born, we have inhaled 50% of our times, we have exhaled 50% of our times. Our heart, the same. Sucking the blood, pumping the blood, also the same. Meaning always 50-50. Always the exchange between left and right, up and down, bright and dark, in and out, success and failure. It's just that this world is not propagating failure to you. It is propagating success to you. So our mind is looking for success, starting to believe there's only one way, there's only one direction in this life that we live.
I'm Max Verstappen. I'm 22 years old. I race for Aston Martin Rebel Racing. I'm from Holland and I live in Monaco. I am the best driver because I believe that I'm the best, because every driver needs to think like that. Otherwise, it's better to stay at home.
Slow success builds character and fast success builds ego. So don't pray for it to come quick. Instead, pray that you have the wisdom to make it stick.
Maybe it's my fault. I missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. Maybe I led you to believe it was easy when it wasn't. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. Maybe I made you think my highlights started at the free throw line and not in the gym. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed.
Did I give everything I absolutely had to this game? Yes, I did. Right? And so that is the most important thing. The rankings, all of that stuff is inconsequential. You know, rankings come and go, opinions change, doesn't matter. Right? When you can look yourself in the mirror and say, did I give everything I could? Did I do everything possible to try to get better?
If you know you won't give up, then you know you won't give in. And if you test yourself and you fail, but you know you're gonna get back up again, if you know that, if you know that, then you know that your character is strong, and that's what matters.
The way your guys say reinvent myself, it's just that I want to be up more than anybody on the planet want me to be down. And that's just what it's all about. Wanting to get the best out of yourself. Not competing with anyone else but you. And that's how we improve as a person. Improving ourselves.
And always getting treated like shit my whole life. And everyone doubting me. I just never let that change me, bro. I wish I wasn't f***ing crying. It's so easy to think, why me? It's so easy to be in that moment, but there's always a person going through some harder than you, you know? And you just can't let it affect you. You can't let people doubting you, you can't let bad things that happen to you define you. Because they don't. Because us as people, we're tested by these things to see how much we can endure. That's why you gotta be strong, you know? You have to be strong in those moments, because if you're not strong and you can't endure what the universe throws at you, then you're just gonna be a loser. And you don't wanna be a loser.
Believe in yourself, and don't rely on anybody to believe in you. Don't rely on anybody to push you or make you better. Believe in yourself and only yourself, and allow that human being to make you a better person. Live your life with character, honor, and discipline. And if you first thing that comes to your mind is, why the f did I quit? So what keeps me going? I've quit several things. I know what's on the back end of f***ing quitting. And it's a lifetime of thinking about, why the f did I do that?
There are things that are more important. More important than being strong and smart and athletic. More important than all those things. Things like loyalty, honor, will. Things like courage. The courage to stand and the will to keep going. And to do the right things for the right reasons.
I got a question. How do you transform yourself from ordinary? The first thing you gotta do is the exact opposite of everybody else. When you get that kind of mentality, you'll be successful.
If you want to know who you really are, be on your own. Go somewhere on your own, on holiday or whatever, and that's who you are. If you're driving along and you throw the soda can out of the window of the car, that's who you really are.
You have to give it everything you got. No more TV, no more parties, no more playing. If you don't have a 4.0, what you need to be doing is studying. Sorry, I'm not available until the end of this year. I'm about to get busy now. I want you to have a countdown of your own and say when the countdown is over, we're the real, watch me, because when I was homeless, I knew something was wrong. I knew that wasn't the best of me. And one day I said, will the real Eric Thomas please stand up? Will the real Eric Thomas please stand up? Stop being this high school dropout. Stop giving up. Stop sleeping on the street. Stop walking up and down Finkel Avenue like you ain't got nothing, and get your GED. Stop being afraid to take a test. Stop being afraid and be the best Eric Thomas you can be.
What can I say? Mamba out.